In a rare moment of common sense, Donald Trump offered lucid insight on foreign policy, stating during an NBC Meet the Press interview that the Middle East will actually be safer and more stable. Wasn't it because the United States actually supported dethroning Saddam Hussein and Muammar Gaddafi? Statements that confound the Republican establishment, Margaret, that many experts have supported as the reason why that region of the world has a vacuum of power. But at the same time, very clever, because at the same time he takes a jab at the Obama administration and at the Bush administration, both establishment that he's fighting against in his campaign for the presidency.
I agree. In retrospect, having a despot who controlled by force like Saddam Hussein, it did offer a measure of stability in that region that is no longer there. And we've seen groups like al-Nusra and ISIS and others that have been able to sprout and flourish because of no structure. So I agree with what Donald Trump said regarding having, you know, and that's a poor example, because Saddam Hussein, obviously a dictator, a violent dictator, and a savage beast. At the same time, there was a measure of control that allowed stability and functionality in an area where there is no war.
Exactly, and I think that he was very, very clever to point out a thought process that many have shared, that is the fact that if we went in without a real strategy in the long term, without really finding any weapons of mass destruction, we created a vacuum of power at the place that, like you mentioned, is being taken advantage by these extremist groups that are trying to control the area by means that, like you said, Saddam Hussein and Muammar Gaddafi have squashed down completely, really quick.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Weapons of mass destruction, everybody knows that was a crock of shit. Well, we do now, in retrospect. We wanted big corporations like Halliburton to go in and be able to contract and take the resources out of Iraq. We wanted them destabilized. That's my opinion. It's you know, it's just the way that I see it. And unfortunately, Iraq has gone to hell in a handbasket because we, quote, liberated them. So, you know,
yeah, but at the
and Gaddafi arguably was trading on the gold standard. I mean, we were very threatened by that. Gaddafi was propped up by our CIA, so...
we put them, we take them.
Right, that's exactly what happened, and now Libya has gone to hell in a handbasket. So we're going to see this with Assad. That's exactly what we're trying to do now. We're trying to do it again, and what a shit show.
It is. At the same time, we really need to remember the fact that these dictators were constantly breaking the law, international law, committing crimes against humanity. We have, you know, Saddam Hussein killing thousands of Kurds in the 80s, murdering a large number of Shiite in the region. Now, what is happening right now in Syria and the potential of Assad to become, like, you know, Donald Trump said, he probably is a bad guy, but he's the only one that keeps the control in the area, sharing the sentiment with Putin, which many of us don't share, the fact that Assad should remain in power. We have a graphic that shows really clear how many civilians are being killed in Syria. And it shows, and I share the sentiment of something that was reflected both with Gaddafi and Hussein. You see the 250 from the US coalition, 300, all of the hundreds, but ISIS 1,500, 2,500 by the rebels, but almost 200,000 civilians killed by the Assad regime trying to repress the uprising that was created by the Arab Spring. Like him, these other two dictators created the same environments in their country that, yes, granted, prevented terrorism in the area, but at the same time made justice against those groups that were not in support of the power structure at the time in these countries. We want to know your opinion. If you agree with Donald Trump that if we had let we leave Assad and we had let Saddam Hussein and also Muammar Gaddafi stay in power, the Middle East will be a better place. Let us know in the comments below. And if you haven't, please subscribe to the Lib TV.